Building in Grounded's of course a huge deal. It's one of the main reasons people love the game, being able to go ahead and make a castle, crazy bases in the hedge, or finding that perfect flat spot for a giant fort. And that's going to continue in Grounded 2, but what do we know so far and what do I want to see? Hey Ratbags, it's Jade. Leave a like if you find this video useful and make sure you've got the notification bell dinged to see all of the Grounded 2 news first, guides and gameplay. Let's go. So first glance, it looks like the building in Grounded 2 is pretty much going to be similar to what you expect. The blueprint system is back, giving you a definitive shopping list of the resources you need as you plan out your build. And very much so with early access, it does look like a whole host of the regular crafting stations and build pieces will be returning that you'd expect. Grass walls, ceilings, acorn stairways, weed stem fences, but something we didn't see in any of the trailers so far has been mushroom bricks. Now of course they may just be holding it back for now, and obviously it will be a part of the game when we actually play it on the 29th of July. And we know certain features like chimneys are coming back and all the furniture too, again what you'd expect. But the lack of any kind of mushroom bricks does make me wonder if we're going to get a brand new kind of middle tier resource to make out of our bases. And that could be on show in some of the clips. We definitely see this bark material on one side, and on the other side of it seems to be woven dried grass or grass. Kind of was a big criticism of Grounded originally anyway in the first good year or so, that we didn't really get enough build pieces, like everything was just green. Which makes sense when grass is all around. So it was amazing when the Hot and Hazy update happened and we got the mushroom bricks. Like sure you had weed stem walls, but they were kind of boring looking and always felt like they'd be better for like outside or tower style builds. But these look great. I love the window designs on these, both sides in fact. But yeah, these new bark walls, which maybe could be made out of the actual pinecone pieces, although it's definitely a lot darker than the roofs. Are we going to be grabbing these from trees, or is there going to be a new resource just scattered around? It'll be interesting to see where we get it from. So maybe while they're waiting for a way to implement either mushroom bricks or some brand new version of them, giving us just a couple more pieces that kind of fit in still with early kind of game is a great idea. And these thatch roofs look really cool as well. Looks like there's a new resource, maybe a bundle that we'll be able to pick up of certain things on certain places, or be able to put them into a bundle ourselves to maybe carry more. Shout out to CD Dinky, who I think caught this one, that mentions it when exploring on Picnic Table from some of the journalist gameplay we saw. So imagine being able to chop a bunch of resources like grass, like planks, but instead of necessarily being able to carry them with only your new soldier ant or on yourself, you could actually bundle them together. Or at least some resources we might be able to bundle and basically carry more of them in better stacks. And what's going on with these tiki masks? Are they going to be available after completing or finding something in a more jungle area? Perhaps the grow boxes in the communal gardens. Really is a kind of tropical jungle feel with these. And the speculation that we could even maybe get rope bridges, as the stairs just beyond this mask here kind of look at an odd angle. But what's this little tree here? Like it kind of looks like a palm tree. So being able to build an Ewok village would be crazy good, but I reckon this is probably still just a piece of stairway, just at a funny angle. Beyond that, all the returning furniture that you'd expect, again, going to keep repeating that, is going to make a return. People seem to be worried that things like the storage boxes won't be there or be different. We can see clearly here we've got the refrigerator, so we're going to still be able to keep our food fresh. The oven, the grinders, the crafting benches, smoothie makers, that is all returning. But I do hope we get some different types of crafting benches as well, or some adjustments to the regular crafting bench. I think it's probably time that when we want to upgrade or craft tier 2 or tier 3 gear, they should borrow heavily from Rust. That we have to upgrade our bench first, or basically place a new one down. Now I don't want it to be like Conan Exiles that has way too many benches. Crafting and base building in Grounded is super easy. Albeit a grind to get certain resources, but it'd still be great to have just this little extra nuance to some of the mechanics. Doesn't have to be difficult to upgrade it either, it could be just simple common parts you'd find in the early stages. But that said, it could be a way to gate players from maybe exploring too far and too deep on getting certain armours until they have managed to find a certain resource or item to get that next upgrade. And I kind of wish they would just take on Valheim's auto repair feature at crafting benches and pretty much do away with glue, or at the very least make any bug part being able to be turned into glue, and have it useful like from day one that you can make glue, not only after doing maybe the hedge, so that every piece of gear can be repaired with glue. That's just a personal want, which I've spoken about before, making more use out of bug parts. And for sure, they've got to relax a little bit some of the hitboxes that stop you building near certain things. Just allow us to mesh more into the environment, which you can kind of see is on show in actually some of the clips. And I know that definitely improved with Grounded 1 anyway, but there's lots of these bases that are built like directly on top of things like this brochure, or in and around tools and stuff. Like, I know Grounded had that, but there were definitely some spots it was kind of hard to necessarily build into it as much. And of course the big one would be that players definitely still want to build in caves or tunnels and stuff. Of course I can see why that would be a bit of an issue in terms of if they're bringing back the bug raids. We haven't seen any indication of any waft emitter or anything like that, but you would presume that will be a returning feature, but this time implemented a bit better. But in terms of new build pieces, that's pretty much it on show so far. Maybe even more exciting than some of the new pieces is the new locations we'll be able to build. With a map 3 times as big, we're definitely going to get some much bigger, nicer views, maybe not obstructed by just so much that was in Grounded 1's backyard. Does look like there's at least 3 oak trees as well as a big dead tree, unless they've changed some of the oak trees to pine needles. Well, pine trees, and maybe that's what we're using to make our thatch once it's dried out. And with that, we might have to think a bit more about how we're going to get buggies into our bases or where we're going to store them. It does look like they'll just go into their barn. They'll recall. That's what we saw from one of the screenshots. You can make them wait places or just send them back to their barn. And the barns look pretty cool. This screenshot from the Steam pages highlights both of them. The one for the Orb Weaver and of course the Soldier Ant. So we've got to assume some of these might be a bit difficult to craft, especially the Orb Weaver, which is supposedly a late game mount, at least for early access. And yeah, we'll be stealing eggs from their nests to go ahead and deposit in here, and then if we want them to go home, they simply just go back in. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be just like it is with our pets, that you can just withdraw a pet and then it will start following you. So I don't think we're necessarily going to see our creatures, our new mounts, buggies, kind of just hovering or moving around these stables. I think they will just be in there as storage kind of thing. Which I kind of hope not. I do want it to be a little bit more realistic where, you know, you'd have to build something nice for your buggies to move around in, or some sort of pen, and not just be stored in a vault to only use when you need them. With the pets, they did kind of hover outside their little home, so yeah, but with these screenshots, there was no bugs on show out here. So who knows, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, incorporating the buggies in our builds. How are we going to get the buggies up to higher places? Are we going to get special, maybe bigger, larger stairways or ramps? Are we finally going to get like a vertical, maybe zip line or a elevator piece? We know they kind of exist in the pneumatic tubes inside the Burgle statue, or if it is indeed Burgle dead. Could that system be implemented in a crude way into our bases as a base piece? It'd be so cool to have a working elevator. That we could build huge elevator shafts and bring our buggies up to different places, especially if we're going to be building in and around more trees. I'm not the best builder, but I did enjoy building, doing time lapses, especially for my 100 days videos, giant castles and stuff. So I'm keen to do and see what we can do with this lot. But look into the future, and I'm still going to keep saying what I've said in a few other videos or streams. I really want to see some sort of metallic or plastic looking material. I think it would offer something a bit more different. Maybe it could be cardboard and we could go ahead and dye it. Because thinking about the credentials of getting plastic and maybe burning it or making it into walls, maybe that would be too much anti-environment. But metal from a junk zone, which I'm still trying to shoehorn in somewhere. But realistically, the easiest one would be something like cardboard that we'd be able to go ahead. Maybe we can harvest some of the juice boxes and use the insides of them to mash up into new, or just make pulp out of literally some of the bark or some of the shavings that you can get from trees. It would just be really cool to have a really unique, different style build piece that's kind of modern and fresh, maybe technologically advanced. Or something I know everyone's wanted is maybe actual proper lab pieces we can use as a base. When I've done some guide videos showing stuff like the lucky hat and I used one of these in Playgrounds mode as a base, so many comments were like, can I have that in the base game of Grounded? Make them that they can still be destroyable, but it'd be so cool if we have to get glass to build it alongside maybe metal or plastic. Maybe we can't actually build individual walls though, maybe it's just a case of having like a set base that will give you a nice big chunky room that you can use as outposts. The potential is absolutely there. People definitely want to see more maybe vibrance in some of their base parts. The cement walls kind of were a bit rubbish. Had some unique shapes and I'm hoping that returns in case of other build stuff that we can maybe make more curved pieces. But we're definitely going to need something big, something brand new, especially if they're not going to be bringing back mushroom bricks. But I doubt it, I reckon they will return as well. And a brief shout out to maybe having underwater bases. I don't think it'll happen. I can't see, even with a bigger pond, why we'd need to have these. Yeah, it could be cool and fun, but from playing in other underwater games, or certainly games that have underwater base building like Ark, it was just pretty underutilized. They can be a pain to get in and out of. Then got to think about logistics of adding like air and stuff into them. Subnautica is a great game because it really focuses in on that whole underwater experience. So maybe more of the research labs that you're looking at right now, that could work if you could just place one of them in the water and have it as like an underwater outpost rather than individual base building. But that's just what I think. They'd have to seriously ramp up raids if they are going to be returning and have a lot of underwater creatures to really make it still, it's just a bit dangerous. Like imagine your base gets wrecked by a koi or some new diving bell beetles, and then all your resources will fall to the floor, or would they rise? These are the kinds of questions people should think about when they want something like base pieces underwater. So let me know what you want to see in terms of new build pieces. What kind of tier would you like to see added or material? And as always, once we get any brand new info, I'll give it to you guys. And I'm looking forward to the release date. We've only got a few more weeks to go. Until next time, bye bye.